Okay. Well, so you state in your campaign literature that one of your primary concerns is health care. Could you tell me a little bit about your proposals for changing U.S. health care and how do you distinguish yourself from your opponent in that regard?
Sure. I have obviously been a front seat watcher of how we're paying for our healthcare for decades. And many times the conversation would turn in the direction of, are we ever going to get universal healthcare? And for decades, I would always respond, yes, of course we will. And people would say, how can you be so sure? And I would say, well, because all other countries with, advanced developed economies have solved this problem, and it's inevitable for us to do the same. But the history of our healthcare payment system is different than everyone else, and it's real hard for us to get to that point. I think that the way we pay for our healthcare right now, with its broken patchwork, balkanized system of payment, really is cruel, and it leaves us in way bad circumstances that we don't have to be in. We do not have to have families going bankrupt for serious diagnosis. So I'm convinced that the way to solve this problem is to have a single payer system, one checkbook to pay the bills, and we would finance that checkbook by public funding. And currently, two-thirds of our healthcare costs are being paid for from a tax base. So it's not a long stretch to just make sure that public funding fills the coffers so that we can pay out of one checkbook. Other countries have, like our neighbors to the north, have a single payer system. It works very well. People are happy with it there. And I'm convinced that that's where we have to go. We have some legislation in the Congress, H.R. 1384. It's a very fine piece of legislation introduced by the Congresswoman from Seattle, Pramila Jayapal. And if I was elected, I would become a co-signer as soon as I was eligible to become one. Our congressman does not get on board with that piece of legislation. He continues to advocate for improvement of the Accountable Care Act, so-called Obamacare. And that was a step that was made to try to expand healthcare to everybody. It wasn't successful in achieving that goal. And at the same time, its biggest problem is it continues to allow for profiteering, unnecessary and really inefficient profiteering to go on with our system. Obamacare does not solve the problem of our increasing healthcare costs, and it doesn't expand universal care to everyone. So I'm in disagreement with our Congressman Kind that we need to go much, much further than what we've tried to do under President Obama with that legislation.